The moon hung low over the village of Uminochi, its pale light casting a silver glow on the warm clay roofs. In a crooked hut at the edge of the forest, a girl named Nneka scrubbed the floor with trembling hands, her fingers raw and blistered. Her beauty was otherworldly, skin like bronze silk, eyes that shimmered with innocence and fire, and hair that curled like rivers through thick bushes. But no one ever saw it. No one was allowed to. Her stepmother, Agbonma, made sure of that. "Faster, you lazy thing," Agbonma barked, her voice sharp as cracked pepper. "You must finish before dawn. We don't need any prince seeing your cursed face." Nneka didn't answer. She had learned silence. It was her only shield in a world that had turned cold since her mother died. Her father, a kind hunter, had passed away when she was 5. Her mother, Ngozi, had followed years later under strange, whisper-filled circumstances. Since then, Nneka had become a shadow in her own home, cleaning for her 2 stepsisters, Obiageli and Chinyu, who preened and painted their faces like peacocks. Still, she dreamed. In the quiet moments before sleep, Nneka would close her eyes and imagine dancing under the stars, her feet bare, her arms lifted in joy. She would whisper her dreams into the night, hoping someone, anyone, was listening. Someone was. One night, as Nneka wept softly beside the old river where her mother once bathed her, the waters began to ripple though the air was still. A soft wind curled around her, fragrant with hibiscus. She lifted her head. From the mist, a figure emerged, a woman in white, glowing softly, her feet not touching the earth. "Nneka, my daughter," the voice said, rich with warmth and sorrow. "I have come." Nneka's breath caught. "Mama." It was her. Ngozi's face was just as she remembered, gentle, fierce, and filled with love. Her mother's spirit knelt beside her, brushing a ghostly hand against her cheek. "You shall not be buried under their hate," Ngozi said. "You will rise, and the world will see the light they tried to dim. But listen, what I give, the living must not know, or all will be lost." From that night on, Ngozi returned when the moon was full, her spirit clothed in starlight. She taught Nneka the forgotten dances of the ancestors, songs that summoned strength, and movements that whispered to spirits. She began to sew her a dress, not from cotton or lace, but from spider silk gathered in the shadows of sacred trees and dyed with midnight and prayer. Then came the royal announcement. Prince Ikena, tall, noble, and unwed, had declared he would choose his bride during the Ijele Festival. All maidens of marriageable age would compete, not just in beauty, but in grace, knowledge, and the sacred Eden Pola dance. The winner would not just be his wife, she would be queen of Uminochi. The village erupted in excitement. Obiageli and Chinyu shrieked with delight. Agbonma spent a fortune on imported beads and wrappers for them. Nneka was told she would stay behind. Her heart ached. But the next full moon, Ngozi's spirit came with gifts wrapped in ancestral cloth, a shimmering dress that shimmered with light when touched by shadow, golden coral anklets that rang with every step, and a veil embroidered with the sacred marks of the river goddess. On the morning of the festival, Ngozi sent a bird, small, glowing, and speaking with a child's voice. It dropped a pair of enchanted beads into Nneka's hands. "Only use them when your path is blocked," the bird chirped. And only once. When Nneka arrived at the festival, she was a vision no one had prepared for. The drummers stopped. The prince turned. She walked as though the ground kissed her feet. Her dance was unlike anything seen before, flowing like a river, with fire in her waist and wind in her arms. People stood in silence. Even the wind paused. Prince Ikena stared at her, transfixed. But when asked her name, she said nothing and vanished into the crowd, leaving behind one of the sacred beads. The prince was beside himself. He refused to eat, to sleep, to smile. He held the bead like it was his own heartbeat and declared he would marry the woman who could make it glow again. The palace sent guards to every corner of Uminochi, testing maidens. But the bead stayed cold. Agbonma, hearing of this, grew afraid. She locked Nneka in the storage hut and burned the magical dress, hoping to bury the truth forever. But one cannot bury what has been blessed by spirits. That night, the skies roared with thunder, though no clouds were in sight. Ngozi appeared again, her form more solid than ever before. She broke the wooden door with a wave of her hand and wrapped Nneka in a new garment woven from the night sky itself. "Go," she whispered. "It is your time." Nneka arrived at the palace barefoot and covered in ash, but the moment she touched the bead, it glowed red hot. The crowd gasped. Obachima rose from his throne. "Who are you?" he asked. Nneka lifted her eyes, tears falling freely. "I am the daughter of Ngozi. The one you call the river maiden of Eneniogu." A hush fell. The queen mother clutched her chest and whispered, "Ngozi. My oldest friend." Then a gust of wind filled the palace. Ngozi's spirit stepped forward, glowing brighter than ever, her voice thunderous and kind. "You stole my daughter's future," she said to Agbonma. "But not her destiny." The earth trembled. Agbonma fell to her knees, wailing. The stepsisters begged for mercy. But the judgment had been written in the winds. Agbonma and her daughters were banished beyond the 7 hills, forbidden from ever speaking Nneka's name again. Prince Ikena knelt before Nneka. "From the moment I saw you, I saw my soul," he said. "Will you be my queen?" And Nneka, finally free to choose her own fate, nodded through tears. The wedding was the most glorious Uminochi had ever seen. But before the ceremony, Nneka returned to the river one last time. There, under the same moonlight where it all began, she whispered, "Thank you, Mama. You gave me life twice." Ngozi's spirit smiled, then turned into golden light and vanished into the breeze. Years passed. Queen Nneka ruled with grace and wisdom, her reign marked by compassion and strength. And every Ijele festival after, the people would gather by the river and tell the story of the girl dressed by the dead, who won not just the prince's heart, but the kingdom's soul. And when children played by the water, sometimes they would pause, tilt their heads, and say softly, "Did you hear that? Mama Ngozi is singing again."